like that. Yeah. So that would be and after that, then Baba would sit down. No, then he would have a little walk here. So, supported by Francis. Yeah. And we would all be standing in a line. This would be the morning routine, And Baba would go by and have 7 or 8 quick rounds. I think we have seen in the film also, Baba walking up and down, and Francis being
like
a world round. Yeah. Usual humor of Baba would be there. So if Francis was a little daydreaming or something, he would get a sudden jolt. So you have to be very alert then. And one of the things later on Baba would do would be to, Baidul had grown a big beard, only exception in the Mandli. Baba never liked beards. So he would then pass his hands through Baidul's beard and give him a little pat, and he would be happy. But one day he had a quarrel with Kaka, his rival, and they had fought literally like small school children.
Actually fighting.
Yeah. And of course the Mandli separated them quickly. Baba was very upset about it. At least he wanted to show he was upset. So that day he didn't caress Baidul's beard, And he sat down here and then he asked Baidul, "You notice I have not caressed your beard today?" "Yes, Baba, he felt so bad about it. I'm upset with you. Is this the way you should behave? You're fighting with Kaka like small children. Shame on you," and this a little reprimand. And then he called him and embraced him. Yeah, then after that, Baba would start the correspondence and reading of papers or whatever. So that is how the day would be spent at Meherabad. And by afternoon he would go in for lunch and then return back, say about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and another couple of hours, sometimes some conversation, or we would have a card game or something. Yeah.
Were the card games in the same old spirit?
Yeah, but a smaller crowd would be there. Yeah. Sometimes only 4, and then that would be called Pisni Court. Yeah, similar to Laris. So we would play with Baba, whatever. So that would be at Meherabad. Quiet time with Baba. On those occasions, I remember Aloba was reading Shahnama to Baba.
That's the account of the kings of Iran.
That's right. So he wouldn't read the Persian, but he would read the translation after just going through each sentence, then he would translate it. And Aloba's English, is not quite up to the mark, but he could well express what he wanted to.
Yeah.
And Francis used to enjoy it immensely. And what would come through was that the Shah of Iran at that time, when it was the chapter where Rustam and Sohrab were Rustam was in the it was because of Rustam that Iran's military might had built up an impregnable empire. And so the enemies of Iran were always plotting to try and kill Rustam. So there was this big saga of how they eventually succeeded in destroying Rustam by pitching his own son against him. Sohrab, yeah. So It's a very tragic tale and very nicely described in the Shahnama.
Yeah.
So we would go on and on. Baba would ask us, would you want to listen to this? So we said, yes, Baba. Francis would say, yes, you like this? All right, carry on.
Did Baba seem to enjoy it?
Yeah, because we enjoyed, so he would let it go on. Some such things would go on, just to pass the time.
Yeah. I'm a little bit surprised that kind of an epic would be to Baba's taste, or the sort of thing that would be read out. Heroic epic with big battles and that sort of thing.
It was just a sort of time pass. Before Baba went inside for lunch, after the correspondence and all, to fill in the hours a little. Yeah. So Francis would call the king of Iran the mousey.
Mouse?
He was like a mouse. Baba would say it again. He had that typical Australian accent, So, yes, that was... which year are we now? In 62, yeah, early 62. So, then after returning to Pune again, of course, Baba would be sending word to get Guru Prasad ready for his usual annual summer stay at Pune. So I would be busy making Guru Prasad ready, and Baba would come there as usual. And in 1962, I think there were programs again.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it was. Could you just see if there are any records of it? Yeah. So while I was still in Meherabad, I think these circulars were going out about Baba intending to give darshan to his western lovers as well as eastern, and so a sort of east-west gathering of Baba lovers Baba had in mind. And Baba had kept postponing it, and eventually Baba gave a date for November, a week's program in November, from the first week of November, 1st of November to the end of the week. So of course there were several changes of dates, and other instructions would keep going forth, back and forth, and a lot of preparations were being done. Because Baba's going to the west was out of the question because of his physical condition, but he had agreed to give darshan to his lovers at Pune. So all these things were going on, and then in the meantime it was summertime, so Baba came to Guru Prasad, and as you said, the seclusion was there. Nobody was allowed to see him early on, but later, if I remember right, there were some good programs that Baba allowed to be done at Guru Prasad. And I remember one particularly striking program was of a singer called Vinayak Rao Patwardhan. He was one of the leading singers in India of classical Indian music.
Not Qawwali then? But
No, not at all. But Baba never liked classical Indian music. But this man's singing was so good that even though Baba didn't like this type of singing, Baba enjoyed that program very much. And he had a speciality called Tarana. So towards the end of a musical piece, he would start rendering a sort of musical instrument sound from his throat. So he wouldn't sing any words, but just the tune resembling a sort of musical instrument. So, and he was so good at it that we really felt as if some musical instrument was being played, without a false note in it, mind you. And he was quite aged then. So to put forth this sort of performance at his age was a fantastic performance. And it was his speciality. No one could do that sort of a thing. Yeah. And when he did that, the crowd was in raptures. Yeah. And Baba also liked it very much. So much so that then Baba, of course, gave him his handkerchief as a reward and said that you must give one more performance when my lovers from the West come. So then he had agreed to that. And in the classical music, Baba liked one particular raga as they call it, which is called Bhairavi.
Bhairavi?
Yeah. Usually it is sung late in the night, and it's a very, it's a rag full of pathos. When the lover sings to the beloved and is crying out to the beloved with all feeling in the heart. So that was the one rag that Baba liked in the classical music most. So he asked Vinayak Rao to sing that, and the way he sang it, it really brought tears to the eyes of many around there. Yeah, very, very, very heartful performance. Yeah, given from the heart. And one thing we always noticed, and Francis also drew my attention, that he wouldn't know how the performance would be, because being Indian music, he wasn't much aware of the nuances of the whole thing. So he would ask me how was the artist's performance, and I said that it's superb. And he would say, yes, it seems that Baba is able to draw out the best from even the artists. So Baba's appreciation of the way they would sing would be so much, despite his silence, his gestures were so eloquent, that they would be inspired to bring out the very best, and the best performance of their lifetime probably would be before Baba. And they were fortunate because it was an opportunity in a lifetime to sing before Baba.
Do you think this singer had any appreciation of who Baba was?
Yeah. The Indian culture is such that there is this veneration for people. Of course, he didn't know exactly Baba's status or what, but he had respect for Baba. He had heard about Baba, and he came and gave a free performance. Yeah.
Why do you think Baba didn't especially care for Indian classical music? Did you ever hear?
It would be very long, drawn out. The lines would be repeated ad nauseum, as it were, and it requires a lot of grounding in the music to be able to appreciate that. And Baba didn't have the patience for that, although he was infinite patience. But what he liked most was Qawwali and ghazals. Yeah, where the aspect of love was predominant. And all his life, Baba would always give stress on love. So that aspect was predominant in this form of music. So that's why he liked that most. Even in the ghazals, there are two types, the Qawwali and the Naat. And in Naat, it is the praise of Prophet Muhammad. So he wouldn't like that so much. It was rather, what word could I use? Prosaic or not that inspiring. Because it was just praising Muhammad.
Conventional.
Yes, conventional, yeah. What he wanted was the lovers cry, the lovers complain, and the beloved's response. These things interested him. Yes. I think Alabaji is calling us. Jai. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Well, it's October 24th, after a 2-month lapse.
Yeah.
We're resuming with the remembrances of beloved Baba and his life, and with Meherwan Jessawala, who's been, of course, our host for these sessions of remembrance of him, the one who is in that chair. So last time, which was more than 2 months ago, as I was just saying, you had been recollecting episodes from 1961, 1962, the breaking of the dam in Pune with the flooding in that area, the Baba's birthday celebrations that year, reading life in Meherabad, reading the Shahnama, and classical music performances before Baba at that time. So let's just...
The year before at Guru Prasad. Yeah. So I think we are about the end of Baba's stay at Guru Prasad
62.
In 62. And I wonder if I've missed things, but as far...
occur to you.
I will just revert back. But the main thing on everybody's mind was the approaching East-West gathering.
Yeah.
It was a pretty big affair, and everybody was getting slowly geared up to it. Baba would hold several meetings with the Pune center workers, because it was an East-West gathering, mind you. So thousands of Easterners were expected to attend this gathering, which of Baba. After many years they would get the chance to be with Baba like this. So a great big rush was expected. And
there really hadn't been a major Darshan since
no.
58.
Yes, Baba would keep the reins drawn, as it were, and would not encourage people to visit him or have darshan mostly. Although at Guru Prasad there used to be these functions quite open, but now this would be on a big scale, and so a lot of preparation was necessary, and Baba would hold these meetings to find out what the difficulties were, what they would want to do, how they would arrange, mostly for the Easterners part of it. And of course for the Westerners, letters and telegrams and cables had already started, sending out circulars of Baba's wish. It was to be a 7-day program to begin with, from 1st of November 1962 to 7th. That was the originally planned thing for Baba. But later on, of course, Baba then sent another circular, and everybody held their breath that it is a cancellation or something. But it wasn't. It was just a shortening of the program to 4 days. So Baba said from 1st to 4th. And then, of course, everybody would be free to leave because Baba wouldn't see them again. But there was arrangements for bringing them down to Meherabad and Meherabad. So they could be in Pune for the whole week and a few days thereafter. So that's how all these things were going on. So all this was at the back of everybody's mind.
Were you all at Binder House involved in these preparations in any way?
Yes. Everybody were putting in their bit,
Did this seem like something new?
Yes, it was a very unique gathering because on this scale, never before the East and West met. I mean, the Baba world of East and West. This was the first such unique gathering, the first and the last, I think.
Yeah.
Because, so it was unique in many ways. And so after all these things, Baba wound up his stay at Guru Prasad, and he departed for Meherabad. But during this time, the Rani also paid a visit, and she suggested to Baba that by the way, the East-West gathering was to be held at Guru Prasad. So she mentioned to Baba that now in a few months' time you'll have to come again. So Baba, you might as well stay on here. Guru Prasad is entirely at your disposal. So Baba was very pleased with what she said. But he said he had to attend to very important work which required his presence at Meherabad. So he just returned. And he was here till October end. Yes. So I think we'll
rush out for
rush out. Yes. So we were at the point where Baba returns to Meherabad, and as I said, it was all these little programs that would take place either at Meherabad or at Guru Prasad were a sort of interlude in between his continued seclusion. So the phase of seclusion seemed to just go on and on and on. And
was there still any vestige of this kind of dark mood he had been in 1960?
No.
That
had cleared up.
That phase was gone.
Yes.
Did
the Baba's rather sad mood, or whatever you may call it, was a very temporary phenomenon associated with some particular phase of his working, which we won't have the faintest idea, because he was really taking upon himself the suffering of the universe, and people around him could feel all that. And especially the Mandli suffered to see Baba suffer in that way. A sort of constant crucifixion, as he would tell us quite often, that his whole life was a sort of a continued crucifixion. Yes, so as I said, Baba had just opened up a small window in his seclusion at Guru Prasad, first allowing the little children of Baba lovers to have his darshan accompanied by the parents of the children. And then he got into the mood of it, and he gave a fortnight of darshan to all his lovers. So there was a big rush, you see. The condition was that each person was allowed to see Baba only once during that whole fortnight. They should never repeat the visit. Of course, there might be some little sneakers in, but mostly they abided by Baba's wish, and they just came even from outstations and had his darshan. Baba gave to the full it was a whole afternoon for each session, and Baba would really give himself to the maximum, despite the tremendous strain that we could see building up. Because this was a sort of a part of the seclusion, just laying aside that work. Although it was, Baba said his universal work continued uninterrupted, but that intense phase of seclusion work was put aside for a time being, and Baba was giving more of himself to the outside world. And then, of course, reverting back to his seclusion phase of concentrated inner working.
Would you ever see Baba at the end of one of these Darshan days after everyone left?
Yes, yes.
Would he look exhausted?
Yeah, very tired, full of sweat, unable to even walk without support, and really tired, but a very happy expression on his face. Yes, very sort of pleased. He would ask, how was the program? And there would be invariably the same reply, that it was wonderful. Baba, you just look radiant, beautiful. These would be the words, And then, of course, the usual worn out appearance. Yeah. So we had to see both his phases.
What would your schedule be during these sorts of times? I mean, would you be going to Guru Prasad? It seems like in the past you had mentioned you'd go on Saturdays.
But these programs mostly were on weekends, so I could be there. Of course, if they were held during the week, then I would miss some of the programs, Or I might try to get a few days leave, because I had lots of leave to my credit, so I would utilize them to the best advantage. A month and a half or a month at Meherabad, and some more leave would be left over, so it would be used up in Guru Prasad functions and all that. And then there would be sick leave to my credit, so I could take advantage of being a little slightly indisposed,
You're sick of going to work.
So there was not much problem of getting leave in that way. And as I said earlier, I think it was by Baba's grace that I got that job in the insurance company. I think I mentioned that. So it was a very convenient job, and I was quite disposable, My presence wasn't that essential all the while, so they could readily grant me leave.
But they liked you well enough where your job was not, you weren't in danger of losing it.
No danger. So that was quite a comfortable situation regards leave. So as I said, Baba was back in Meherabad, and of course the preparations for the East-West gathering started slowly to gain momentum as the days approached. More and more hectic activities, because to accommodate the vast numbers of Easterners that would attend was a problem. You see, November was fortunately a time of Diwali vacations, so we could get some schools and school campuses and other such institutions where we could accommodate some of the lovers in different groups, And for the Westerners, of course, we had booked almost all the hotels available at the time, well in advance, mind you. So
the Amir Hotel.
No, at that time.
Was there?
1962.
Maybe in 69, I've heard of it.
I think 69 was the first time that Amir was inaugurated, and it was inaugurated with Baba people. So the first charter flight that came in 69, after Baba dropped his body, Amir was full with Baba people. So, and ever since then, Amir, the owner of Amir, went from one success to another, and he's now a multi-billionaire. He's into big business now.
And the year has deteriorated more and more as the time has gone.
Well, that I don't know, but yeah. So Aurora was the owner of that place, Ameerabad. But during Baba's time, there was the Wellesley Hotel, the Pune Hotel, which are, I think, all gone now. The Ritz Hotel. Then there was Pune Club. Then there was the Napier Hotel. And there was the Turf Club. So in between these few hotels and private clubs, we could accommodate about 150 or odd Westerners that participated. The original number was more towards the higher side, I think more than 180 or something. But then a few people cancelled before the function was due. And eventually I think about 150 people participated. For a long time I had those lists and everything, but I don't know, one day I just destroyed all of them and I regret it.
The lists of everyone who came.
Yeah. And
who was in charge of Amar Treaty organizations? Was there anyone?
Amar Treaty?
The
East-West
gathering. Was there anyone in Pune who was like a coordinator of it or any such?
No, each one was given different responsibilities. So Meherji was given, I think, the charge of the flights and the placement of people in various hotels and groups. I was to assist Meherji in this work, so I had to be with him all the while. And then Dr. Donkin was in charge of the medical side, so he did a real wonderful job about that. And there was General Bhandari, who was a Baba lover whom we didn't know even. I think probably through Wing Commander Sakre. I think he was instrumental in bringing General Bhandari to Baba. And his wife also was extremely devoted to Baba. And she was a medical officer. Even he was a doctor. He was in the Armed Forces Medical Corps.
And they were stationed in Pune?
Yeah. He had a huge big bungalow, being a rank of a general, So and then there was Dr. Irani, Farokh Bastani. Farokh Bastani's brother, what's his name? I forget now. His elder brother, who's a very famous physician in the United States now, by the way. Yeah. I forget his first name. Dr. Bastani. In fact, he studied psychiatry, and then he migrated to the States, and he's doing very well there. He's in charge of several penitentiaries, and he received a citation from the president. So, very talented persons in Baba's service, Yeah. So
they were helping with the medical.
So they were looking on the medical side. Then there were many other things, bookstalls and other things given to various other people to be looked after for people who wanted to buy Baba's books and lockets and other things. So everything was distributed.
Must have been in constant communication with Meherabad then. How would you do that? Telegram? There must have been questions coming up all the time.
Well, I wouldn't remember that, but yes, if there were any difficulties, we were allowed to correspond with Erich and Mani and all that. Yeah, not direct correspondence with Baba as such, because he was in strict seclusion. So these preparations were going on. The man in charge of the pandals and the stage and all decorations was Bapu Sahib Shinde. He was a very stalwart of a Baba lover, a huge big man, robust in constitution. And I'll have to tell you a story later how it all happened afterwards. But he was the one who helped with all this construction part, of the tents and the main pandal and everything. So as I said, everything was given out. Jalbhai was given, Baba's brother Jal was given the duty of taking the Westerners around the sites in Pune and accompanying them to Meherabad and Meherabad. Then there were volunteers from Pakistan, the Arjanis, the Dubashes, and they helped at different hotels. They were all posted. Yeah, so they were in charge of that group station. So all this was planned out very meticulously. And by Baba's grace, the whole thing worked so smoothly and efficiently, despite a very great big crisis that was to take place, as usual in Baba's work. So all this was building up into a sort of crescendo, and everybody was quite fired up, And here also a lot of activity, correspondence, and to and fro and all that. And the worst part of it was Baba's health began to fail.
Oh, between leaving Meherabad and November.
Fail means the pressure of work was so immense that again his health was down, and day by day the health was causing great anxiety and worry to the Mandli. So the Mandli would tell Baba, you can cancel the program because Baba, your health doesn't seem to be good enough. So Baba says, no, come what may, because it was oft postponed, this meeting. Baba says, this must take place, come what may. And so on, it would go on. And then Baba would be more and more weak and very unwell. And he would then even ask the Mandli, should I cancel the program? He would ask them, and they would say, yes, Baba. And Francis would say, Baba, just straight away give the signal and we'll call it off. No, let it go on. So this sort of thing would always go on, Yeah.
In this very room, right?
Yeah, in this hall. In Baba's bedroom also they would be called sometimes, yes. With the women Mandli, same thing. So everybody had to share in this suffering, and this tension. So anyway, it just went on, and then Baba in the middle sent out the circular that instead of the original 7 days that I had planned, now I wish that the program should be only for 4 days. First everybody thought it was a cancellation, but no cancellation. So for 4 days. And even that was accepted by everybody universally. No reservations. Even had it been even for an hour, I think they would have all just jumped for the opportunity. So this was going on, and then it was time for Baba to come to Guru Prasad. Guru Prasad, by the way, I forgot to mention that earlier in the year, before Baba came for the summer stay at Guru Prasad that year, the Rani had made a complete renovation of Guru Prasad for the first time. The bungalow had never been attended to it. So it was a huge property, and the expenses involved to do even a minor thing would be quite big. But this time, for Baba's comfort and convenience, this was before any announcement of this East-West or anything.
Oh.
Yes. So she had this inner urge to get the whole place renovated. Just see what happens now.
During the off-season before Baba came.
Baba came in 62 summer.
March, whatever it was.
Yeah. So during the interval of 61 summer and 62 summer, the whole place was stripped down and the old wirings were removed, new electrification was done, and the whole veranda, which was all around the Guru Prasad bungalow, was covered with a nice trellis work, So it was all open. So she built this, she had this trellis constructed of steel, nice decorated steel trellis. So the whole veranda was secure. Only the 3 entrances from the steps on either side and the front were the entrances. So only those were left open with doors, mind you. So you could lock all the doors and the whole bungalow would be totally secure, including the veranda. So when Baba came in 62, he had continued his seclusion, as I had said. So this sort of helped to have a sort of secluded atmosphere also, and a more secure place.
So the veranda would be less visible from the room.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And of course, being renovated, it looked very nice after the painting and the coloring and the whitewashing. After many years, it put on a nice new appearance. So the old princess looked young again. And she was really very beautiful after the renovation. So she was inspired to do this, mind you. And then Baba announced that we will hold the East-West gathering in Guru Prasad. So it was a fit place for the occasion. Ready for the show, as it were. And then it was time for Baba to come. So I think in the last week of October or so, Baba was at Guru Prasad again. Of course, we would, from Bindra House and Jhangu, Sukhadwala and the Baba House people would all go to Guru Prasad and for weeks clean out the place again, swab it, dust it, clean it, bring in all the extra furniture, the utensils and this and that, and all sorts of things would have to be done, linen to be brought and so many things to be attended to get the place ready for Baba's occupation. And then Baba came. So it was about the last week of October, I think. And then what was the next thing now? Yes, so the thing was that at that time 2 very serious emergencies was faced by the world. It was the time of the Cuban crisis, and simultaneously India was facing her gravest danger on her northern frontiers, China having attacked India on the eve of East-West gathering, mind you. So much so that the government had declared an emergency, and all the planes and all those were requisitioned, which left the Australian group in a lurch, mind you, because the Australian group, they were hard up for funds, couldn't travel by plane all the way from Australia, so they had made an arrangement to come up to Colombo by boat, the major group, and then from Colombo to catch an internal flight of the Indian Airlines to Bombay, and then come over to Pune. So on the day they landed at Colombo, the emergency was declared and no planes were available. So the whole group was desperate. They tried to get some other flights. So some of them could get on some flights, but the rest of them had to carry on with the boat journey. And so they were delayed by another 1 full day. So they lost a full day of the distress Havas. Yeah. But Baba then compensated them by calling them privately for once or twice, I think. So it was all looked after by him. But poor Bill LePage had a very trying time. Yes, it started to.
Yeah. Okay, we should stop. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.